Hi, my name is Judy Miller. I'm going to be reading to you the book, Give Bees a Chance. It's written and illustrated by Bethany Barton. First off, though, I'm going to give you a bee test. What do you do when you see a bee? Do you A, flap your arms and run in figure eights? B, dash inside and lock all the doors and windows? C, pull out your industrial-sized can of bug spray and aim for the stripes? Or D, hold out your honey bear-shaped bottle, bow, and give thanks? If you chose A, B, or C, then this book is for you. If you chose D, buy this book for your bee-phobic friends. So here we go. Give bees a chance. And there's so many kinds. There's a squash bee who builds underground nests. There's a sweat bee who collects salt from human and animal sweat. A southeastern blueberry bee holds onto flowers and vibrates its wings to shake out the pollen. The mining bee digs tunnels in the earth. A wool carder bee collects fuzzy fibers from plants to line its nest. The European honeybee is the world's most common honeybee. The cellophane bee lines underground nest with a secretion that dries to look like cellophane. And the common bumblebee is a master of tomato pollination. This is my best buddy, Edgar. We love all the same things like board games and dinosaurs, strawberries and honey, and of course, bees. Except that I don't really like bees. Sure you do. Didn't I tell you there are about 25,000 different kinds of bees to love? European honeybee, leafcutter bee, eastern carpenter bee, southeastern blueberry bee, squash bee, mining bee, yellow-faced bee, horn-faced bee, cellophane bee, metallic green bee, wool carder bee, sweat bee, cuckoo bee, common bumblebee, maybe. And then I told you all about the 3 types of honeybees. There's the queen. She's a large, fertile female, and her job is to make all of the baby bees. There's just one in every hive. Then there's the drones. They are large males with no stinger. Their job is to find a queen to mate with. There are 300 to 500 in each hive. And then there's the workers. They are small, sterile females with stingers, and their job is everything else. They gather nectar, pollen, and water. They make honey, feed baby bees, called larvae. They build and protect the hive and make royal jelly to feed the queen bee, and more. Get them away from me. Blow gently on bees to make them scatter. Phew, thanks. Like I was saying, I don't like bees. But why? Mostly because of their stingers and attached venom sacs, which are the cause of painful bee stings. That part you told me last week. Remember, I was stung by a super mean bee and it hurt. But that was just one bee. Couldn't you still give bees a chance? Maybe I just need to remind you how weird and cool a honeybee's anatomy is. It has 5 eyes. 3 of them are tiny, simple, one-lens eyes called ocelli. 2 of them are large, compound eyes with thousands of lenses. They have 2 stomachs, a honey stomach or crop for turning nectar into honey, and a bee stomach for digesting nectar. And they have 4 wings. They lock together for flying and then come apart for easy storage when they're in the hive. They have 6 legs, complete with a pollen basket, an area on the hind legs that can store almost 1,000,000 grains of pollen. And Edgar is showing you where the stinger is. Ouch, he says. Maybe you just need some time to get to know them. How about millions of years? You know, bees lived with dinosaurs. Scientists have found bee fossils from millions of years ago, and even ancient Egyptians kept bees. The hieroglyphic symbol for a bee looks just like a bee. In fact, honey from bees was found in Egyptian tombs, and it was still edible. Ooh, honey. Perfect. Maybe you just need some honey. Bees make honey. Why are you telling me all this stuff? So you'll give bees a chance. Once you learn how great they are, you're bound to fall in love with them. Check out how honey is made. A bee gathers nectar from flowers. Nectar goes into a special stomach called a crop, and contents of the crop are spit up into a new bee's mouth. The new bee breaks down the sugars of the nectar within her own crop. This processed nectar is passed along to several more bees, who each break down the nectar in their crops until it becomes honey. Then the honey gets barfed into a honeycomb cell and fanned by the wings of the bees to evaporate moisture. Lastly, it's sealed with beeswax to keep it safe until it's eaten. Did you say barf? Just 1 pound of honey takes 2 million flowers and thousands of bees to create. Too many bees. Blow gently on bees to make them scatter. It looks like I haven't convinced you just yet. Nope, because they're all gonna sting me. Oh well, bees do sting sometimes, but not because they're mean. Stinger stories. Bees only sting to defend themselves, like a bird wanting to eat a bee, or avoid getting squished or smashed. In fact, many bees lose their stinger after attacking, which is sort of like your hand disappearing if you pinch your sister. Also, wait, what are you wearing? Bee armor. That's not going to work. It was designed for dragons, and I think it can handle bees. Well, there is a kind of armor that beekeepers wear, but it looks quite a bit different. It allows them to collect honey and beeswax without getting stung by startled bees. A veil protects their eyes and neck. White color puts bees at ease. A suit and gloves cover their skin. Hive boxes have removable frames for the bees to build the honeycomb in. Then to collect the honey from the hive, the beehive frame is pulled out when it's filled with honeycomb. You know, I love honey, but I'd be willing to give it up forever to never see a bee again. But giving up bees means giving up so much more than honey. Some scientists say bees are responsible for 1/3 of all the fruits and vegetables we eat. Bees have a big impact on the food chain. You see, in order for plants to grow fruits and vegetables, they need the right ingredients. They need sun and water and pollen. A major ingredient they need is pollen. But since flowers can't move, they can't always get pollen from each other. I want to make a strawberry. Throw me some pollen. I don't have arms. That's where bees fly in. A bee's fuzzy body catches pollen from flowers. Pollen falls into the next flower the bee visits. They act as a pollen delivery service, helping give flowers the ingredients they need. A single bee can visit over 1,000 flowers a day, making bee pollination powers unparalleled, which means without bees, there'd be a lot less yummy stuff to eat. And bees are disappearing in large numbers. Bees actually need our help. Bees are going missing. Their occupation is pollinator. Possible reasons for disappearance are pesticides, parasites called varroa mites, a lack of bee-friendly flowers, and pollution. Okay, I take it back. I don't want bees gone. I even sort of want to help them, as long as they don't sting me. Planting bee-friendly flowers is a great way to help the bee population. They like blue hyssop, coneflowers, and asters. Won't that just attract more bees? Hopefully, yes. But just approach a bee like you would a dog you don't know. Don't get too close, and don't try to touch it. Unless you're a flower, it should lose interest and fly away. And if more people like you give bees a chance, they might just have, well, a chance to make the world a sweeter place. But there's more kinds of honeybees. There's a horn-faced bee, which is a solitary bee with no queen who builds its own private nest. There's a yellow-faced bee who ingests pollen instead of collecting it with hairs like other bees. There's a cuckoo bee who lays eggs in the nests of other bees so its larvae can steal their food. The metallic green bee often builds its separate nest close to others, sometimes sharing an entrance, like bee apartments. The eastern carpenter bee bores holes into wood to lay eggs and nest. The leaf cutter bee cuts pieces of leaves with its jaw to line its nest. Here are some more fun bee facts. Honeybees have hair on their eyes. Bees sometimes communicate by dancing. An average queen bee can lay up to 2,000 eggs in one day. Sometimes they do sting, but just leave them alone. Now, have I told you how much I love bears?